Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. My guest tonight she's a professional bodybuilder. She's an American Gladiator. She's a podcaster. Lori Fetrick. How's it going, Lori?
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. You know, I got to promote, right?
You got to. So what have you been up to lately?
Actually, I've been doing a lot of podcasting. I just got done doing an interview with Saber. And so that turned out really well. I haven't seen him in about 20 years. So therefore, the podcast, I mean, let's put it this way. My podcasts are about an hour long. And we just didn't have enough time. We literally I spoke for like 2 and 3 hours, you know. But that's really, doing that. And the documentary came out, on Netflix. So that was pretty amazing. And 5-part series on that. We're getting great reviews, still in the top 10. And other than that, just living life.
Yeah, let's talk about the documentary. I didn't even know there was an ESPN 30 for 31. I only thought it was only the Netflix one. So was Netflix and ESPN trying to compete each other to share this story?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the ESPN documentary, the producer of it actually contacted us first. And it was the creator of the show, Johnny Ferraro, contacted us and said, hey, they're doing a documentary about me, and we want you to be in it, And we were like, okay, we talked, and we were like, so what's it going to pay? He goes, oh, it's not going to pay you anything. So we just kind of went, So the team basically got separated because I would say 3/4 of the team decided to go to Netflix and 1/4 of the team decided to stay with ESPN. But it was just, it was a lot of politics involved, and that's why there's 2 documentaries.
Okay, I was just wondering why, because like I said, I'd never seen the ESPN one anyway. The Netflix, I really enjoyed. It got like real deep and personal and intimate. Yeah, and I hear your dogs.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So, yeah.
Go ahead. What was your question?
No, I just said it was funny. I heard your dogs, but that's what I was saying.
all 4 of them, as a matter of fact. But the ESPN documentary, it wasn't really about the American Gladiators. It was more about 2 creators fighting over who owns the show and who doesn't. Who has the rights to it? Who got screwed, who did not? So that was more the ESPN documentary. That was my take on it anyway. They didn't really portray the Gladiators and what they're doing and anything I think they portrayed them in a very dark setting. Not one gladiator did I hear go, oh my God, I had the time of my life. So I don't know. 2 different worlds.
I bet. So, tell me the origin of Ice and how'd you become part of the American Gladiators? This was like over 30 years ago.
Yeah, it was over 30 years ago. I was a bodybuilder, like you said in the very beginning. And I competed. I competed local, state, national, wanted to go pro, never hit the pro level. And then I went actually and tried out for the American Gladiators. And that was it from the bodybuilding standpoint. And then when I tried out against about 75 other girls on the American Gladiator show. And it narrowed it down from 75, 20, 10, 5, and I got the job. And that is when Ice was born.
How'd you come up with Ice?
Top Gun. That's when Top Gun, the movie, came out. Remember Iceman?
Yes.
Everybody said that I could pass for Val Kilmer's sister, and so they kind of were joking around. They said Iceman, and then somebody said, what about just Ice? And it stuck.
That's pretty cool. I was wondering about that. Yeah, Top Gun was a great film. Now, let's talk about you and Nitro. Who was more competitive between you and Nitro on Gladiators, and who got the most women?
Nitro by far got way more women than I did, so because he was a slore. That's what we laugh about. And what was the second part of the question about Nitro?
Yeah, who was more competitive between you and Nitro on the Gladiators?
Oh God, he was. It's funny because the Gladiators, the guys and girls never competed with one another. The girls and girls competed with one another, but not the guys and the girls. They had their own shit going on.
That's pretty wild. So you must have, you guys must have had some crazy stories in the behind the scenes too.
Yeah, that all came out in the documentary, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. While you were part of the American Gladiators, and like you said, you were a professional bodybuilder. Pro wrestling was just as popular around the day, WWF and WCW. Did you ever thought about trying out being a professional pro wrestler?
Nope, never wanted to be.
Really?
Never wanted to be. We were so brainwashed with the Gladiators to where we fought against that the whole time we were actually on the show. Everybody was like, oh, you guys are just like wrestling. You're all fake. And so they compared us to pro wrestling, and we fought for years and years. We're not pro wrestling. This is 100% real. The falls are real. The hits are real. Nothing is staged. And that's what we fought against the entire 9 to 10 years we were on Gladiators.
Yeah,
so I just couldn't see the transition going into WWF.
Wouldn't have been cool if that happened to you? It's like Ice makes her debut.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I auditioned for a role on your T-shirt, Glow. It was right before COVID, and I auditioned for a series regular part. And about a month after I auditioned, I called my agent and said, what's the deal? What's going on? He goes, let me get back with you. And he calls me 2 days later. He goes, well, they don't want you for the role that you actually auditioned for. However, there is another role that you're perfect for. And it was for a series regular. And then a week later, COVID hit. And they went that entire opportunity. And then I was told, oh, just wait for them to come back. Wait, after COVID, all the shows will come back. And then they canceled. I was so bummed. But otherwise, I would have been on that show Glow the very last season.
Oh my gosh, that would have been cool.
I know.
You probably would have been fangirling, wouldn't have you?
I don't know, but man, that would have just made my career even. I mean, that probably would have jump started it tenfold. So, but yeah, that's what happens. COVID kind of fucked up everything. Hey, that's a fun trivia
fact about you. Almost being in the last season of Glow. That would have been cool. I mean, there was a lot of great talent on that show you could have worked with.
Oh, I know. Some of the girls were just amazing actresses. And then not only being an actress, I had to give this to them. They actually had to learn how to do some of that shit, and you could tell those little girls. And those actresses, you could tell they did not want to do any of those like little half-ass stunts they were doing when it came to the wrestling part on that show. So I give them kudos.
Hey, that would have been cool if you were on that show. You probably would have gave Brie Allison the run for her money.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
She probably would have been scared of you too. Probably, it's like, don't mess with me.
Oh, absolutely.
You were one of the original Gladiators, and you were on the show for 5 seasons, and then, like in the documentary, you found out they were making money off of you guys and not giving you any residuals or any more money for all the blood, sweat, and tears and wear and tear on your bodies. So when you found out all about that, what was going through your mind at that time?
Good question. I don't remember. What was going through my mind at that time? Probably they're screwing us with money. We need to do something. We need to stick together. We need to be a united front. And then there was a bunch of, Gladiators that just, they couldn't stomach it. They didn't want to hold out. And so we lost the numbers. We lost to strength in numbers. And I think at that time I was thinking, we're screwed.
So when they fired you after the 5th season, What were you doing at that time before later when they asked you to come back?
What was I doing? I don't even remember. I was doing some personal appearances, and I was doing just some odd jobs as far as acting was concerned. I was trying to definitely go into the acting industry and, get more into that. And then what else did I do? God, it was so long ago, and thank God it was only a year, but not much, probably. Just surviving.
Speaking of how you got into the acting career, you got to work with Lorenzo Lamas. What was it like to work with Lorenzo Lamas? That had to have been cool.
Lorenzo Lamas, he's a very cool man. And I got to know his ex-wife way back when, Kathleen Kenmont. And she's an amazing woman. And it was just fun hanging out with them. They're both amazing people. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun on those shows. So I did, CIA 2, Target Alexa. I did that movie with them. And then I did the, what was that one show he had down in San Diego? Renegade. That's right. I did one of his shows. I did a Renegade down there. So that was pretty cool, too.
I mean, that's cool, just to be able to work with Lorenzo Lamas, getting to do scenes with him, as well. And then you got a little geekiness about you, too, in acting. Plus, you were in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, where you played Vixen. Yeah. How much fun was that?
That was cool. Dean Cain's amazing. He's fun. I would say, actually, that was I'm going to say that was probably one of the biggest roles I actually got to play. I mean, because at the time I did the show, Lois and Clark was huge. The ratings were great. And for me to have that guest starring role and be able to play that part, it was a dream come true. It was pretty cool. So Dean's an awesome man.
Yeah, I like Dean. I've met him a couple times. He's a cool dude, man. I like him. And also another cool guy is Scott Bell, man. You got to love Scott Bell.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you, you look like the type of guy that would totally go to all the Comic-Cons and the fan expos. Do you attend those a lot? Yeah,
I do. I attend a lot of them. I cover them. I do a lot of interviews. I also do a lot of film festivals too. I go to regular independent film festivals. I do a lot of.
Well, you got to hook me up with your contacts over at the Comic-Cons and fan expos.
I can.
I know you.
I should definitely.
You got to have some contacts.
I will. When we get off the podcast, I'll give you a couple names, and you can reach out to them. I know them personally, and just see what happens.
That's all I need is a contact. It's just about, because I know this year on the Comic-Cons and fan expos, I know a lot of them are already booked this year. I mean, but yet, I always say this. I always go, throw another table out. What's another 8x10? Come on. We're not going to take up that much room. We want to come and sign.
Yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, I know a couple contacts, and another thing would be pretty cool. You should also do pro wrestling conventions. You would do good for those too.
Do they actually bring in other people rather than the pro wrestlers though?
Yes, they do. I can set you up. I can set you up with a couple other contacts.
Dude, that would be awesome. Look at that. See, it's literally in this day and age, it's all about contact, networking with one another.
Look at this. I'm supposed to share your story, and here I am hooking you up with contacts.
Hell yeah, it's all about collaboration, baby.
So,
very cool.
So, are you a big fan of horror? Do you watch horror films?
It's funny. I'm doing your podcast because no. Actually, it's funny because my girlfriend teases me about it all the time because she actually is a very big, loves horror movies. Kind of like the old school ones, not necessarily the serial killer type, what humans do to humans things. And she's very much into paranormal shows, the ghost shows.
So she must like Ghost Adventures of Zach Baggins then.
Oh, God, I even like Zach. And I don't even like those shows, but I will watch his show. And we laugh all the time when he goes, Adam, you go in there. You go, and I'll stay here. And we always laugh because he always, pawns off the really like super scary shit on somebody else on his show.
Yeah, his show's great. So you probably also watch Paranormal Caught on Film too.
That I don't know. I mean, I don't sit and watch too many of them. More than anything, if it's in the background and the television's on, and like she might be doing homework or something like that, you know, and then the television's on, and I can hear Zach. But the other ones, she does watch a shit ton of them, but I'm not into them that much.
Oh wow! Hey, at least you like Zach Baggins, so that's a start.
I know, right? I know. She got me hooked on that one, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones. Like there's some cool ones that I do like to watch, like the haunted castle ones. You know, like over in England or Scotland and stuff like that. Those are fun.
I think so too. And another thing that's fun thing I like about you too, I love your TikTok videos. They're just so inspiring and they're just so fun to watch. They're just addicting.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got to get back on there. I have dropped the ball on my TikTok videos, and I know that. Ever since the documentary hit, I'll be honest, I've been doing a shit ton of podcasts, doing my own podcast. And then it's the first time in 30 years, I have actually been super busy with getting back to people, you know, like all the different fans that are on Instagram and TikTok. And I'm just taking it all in right now. I'm loving every second of it because it's not going to last forever. So it's a lot of fun right now.
So, being part of American Gladiators, I mean, you probably had a lot of great moments, you know, as a gladiator. What is the one memorable moment that still sticks with you today you can just go back and think about?
Oh, that's easy. That's walking into Madison Square Gardens when we're on the tour. Completely sold out. 15,000 people. And having the spotlight hit you when they call your name and you walk and you run out. Madison Square Gardens was the most epic, iconic, just such. My girlfriend, she has a name for it because she was watching the documentary and she was like, "Oh my God, I could see you just running out," and you're just like the expression on your face. It was like an egogasm. Wait, an egogasm. That's what she called it, an egogasm. She goes, you could just tell that there's no other place in the world that you would rather be. Your whole face and everything lit up, and that was the Madison Square Gardens. That was it.
That's epic for anybody, for any athlete to just be able to go in there and just hear the audience with a loud roar around the whole building shaking.
Yeah, and just perform. 100%.
So, who was some of your toughest opponents you had on the Gladiators?
Definitely Peggy Odita and Wendy Brown.
Oh, really? So,
yeah, I think Wendy Brown was in my era, but definitely Peggy. Peggy was insane.
So, how hard did she give you the run for your money? When you went up against her, or was she just like?
Dude, the girl is 5'9", weighing 185 pounds. I'm 5'7", weighing about maybe 145. Once you do the math, it's like she just bulldozed us.
What was going to your mind after she like took you down?
Honestly, I kind of like looked up and looked at the producers and went, "You hired her?" Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's interesting how they hired some opponents for you a little bit bigger and stuff. Didn't they also later on go to like some smaller opponents who weren't as you know big?
I think they did a couple seasons. There's a couple seasons where the girls were small, a couple seasons where some of the girls were a little bit larger in size. I think they were just, I don't know. I don't think there was any really rhyme or reason to their method of their madness. Let's put it that way.
So how hard was it when you guys were traveling doing the whole international gladiators? I mean, you probably guys got injured a lot and then it was like hard on your bodies. I mean, how much stress was that?
Well, the international show was only about 2 weeks. That was pretty chill and pretty awesome. We loved that. But I think you're talking about possibly the tour where we we actually toured for 6 months.
Yeah.
That was brutal. It was fun as shit, but it was brutal. Yeah.
So, was there any interesting stories on the RV that was never mentioned on the documentary you could share?
No, that's pretty much it. You saw what you saw is what happened. What you saw is what you saw.
Oh, really? There was no anything
Yeah.
interesting or funny or crazy, huh?
I mean, just a lot. We just partied. We just partied a lot, and we just had a really good time.
So
Yeah.
when Gladiators ended after 7 years, what were you thinking once it ended, and what were you thinking what you were going to be doing next?
That's a good question. I have no idea. I thought that I was going to go into acting. At the same time, I was opening a business. I was doing real estate. I mean, I actually became a businesswoman, and I started opening businesses. I opened up a tanning salon. I opened up a 10,000 square foot facility, exercise gym in Orlando. Sold both of those. Went on to do something else. I just bounce. I don't want to say I bounce around. It's more about you got to have at least 2 to 3 things going on in order to make that living. So I'm constantly thinking of different ideas of how to make money. So we'll see. I mean, I'm actually looks like I'll be collaborating with a cannabis line here pretty soon, but it's more about the CBD and the anti-inflammatory medical side of it. So that's in the works. So I'm just keeping busy all the time.
Now let's talk about your podcast. I listened to a few episodes, and I love
Thank
it.
you.
It's entertaining. How'd you come up with Chillin' With Ice, the podcast?
My girlfriend came up with the name. We were playing golf one day, and we were just seriously like naming stuff and calling it different things. And I mean, I had an idea even to say, I had one name of, is it just me? Because we were talking about the world and how people are just so stupid nowadays and how idiotic things are and how we have opinions about everything. And I would be like, is it just me or is that person completely wrong? I mean, we just had so many conversations and we were just talking and then we were just throwing spitball names out and she just went, you should just call it Chillin' With Ice, you know? And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. And that's how that name came about. It was funny. I love it. I absolutely love podcasting. It's fun as shit. And all my Gladiator guys, I mean, like I think what makes it good right now is because of me. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, look at you. So conceited.
No, they said, I just laugh about that. No, because I'm just myself. You know, I'm me. What you see is what you get. It's very authentic. I don't put an act on. I don't try to be, funny or stupid or sad or interesting. It's just, I love talking with people, and especially with my Gladiator teammates. It gives me an hour to sit with them and talk about Gladiators for an hour, just the permission to talk about it. And we have so many stories and so many memories, and it makes it so easy. So that's why I'm loving doing podcasting right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun podcast. I mean, I've listened to your episodes. I mean, I really enjoy it. I mean, especially the Gladiator stories. I love how you have the different Gladiators on there and the one episode I liked on your podcast was when your girlfriend interviewed you. That was fun, talking about, growing up in the 70s and being a little
she did good. She did it good for trying to interview me, and she was super nervous. And what's so funny is she watches it and I watch it, and she's so stiff interviewing me. It's hysterical. And we did an episode, another episode called Beer with Friends.
Okay.
And it's on my YouTube channel, Chillin' With Ice, and it's called Beer with Friends. And we're actually sitting there drinking beer, doing a podcast. And we get a little buzzed. And all of a sudden, April's personality starts just shining through because she's relaxed and she could be herself and she's not stiff. And I was just loving every moment of it, because I was like, oh my God, there she is. That's the funny shit that you say to me all the time that you keep me laughing every day. So So yeah, it's a great episode, but she's getting better because I keep asking her to do things for me.
Hey, that's a good supportive girlfriend. And I love the one story when you were like growing up where you had a crush on Christy McNichol.
Oh God! Oh my God! Did I say crush? I just thought she was kind of cute. I know.
Did you ever get a chance to meet Christy McNichol?
Mm-mm.
No.
No. I think I saw a photo of her or something later on, and I was like, never mind, I don't want to meet her.
Oh, that's epic, man.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh.
That's so cool. I'm glad that I could get together and do a podcast with you for a moment. I know I don't have a lot of time tonight, so I apologize for that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, where can everybody find you on social media?
You can find me I have Chillin With Ice, the YouTube channel, and all my podcasts are on there, and they're obviously across the board as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There you go, Apple Podcasts, and across the board. That's that. But my Instagram and TikTok are the same, and that's Lori LORI.ice.Fetrick, and those are my two social media handles. I'll be honest, I'm not on Facebook that much. I'm trying to just send over my Instagram to my Facebook so it could kind of double take care of it. But I'm still on there. And then I have a Patreon account as well.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great evening.